Welcome to 3D.sk, human photo reference for 3D artists and game developers. On this site you can find thousands of images, from studio photo reference to street photo reference. We also have a selection of animals on our site. We have some costumes, we have weapons, armor. We also have 3D scans of bodies and heads, clothing, animals, all the aforementioned above, and 3D maps and textures. So in this episode, we're going to be going over texturing. So in the last episode, if you remember, we did some cleaning up of some stuff, and we're just going to move on to texturing. So I just want to maybe buff up this lip a little bit first. Feels a little bit too thin to me. That feels a bit better. Let's see. Should be fine. So we're going to be mostly doing that. So I'm going to pick a color from here. Obviously choose the right brush, which is BST. Let's turn it to RBG. Turn the RBG intensity to 50. I'm just going to start painting. Just picking colors around the edge. But you can see that using a brush like this doesn't really give the result that you want it to give. So what we can do is we can get paint with alpha. This is a new feature in this version of ZBrush that I want to try out. So if I just go paint with alpha, is it going to paint with the alpha? Turn the RBG intensity up. Try a bit more of a darker color. So it is going to paint with the alpha. So that's pretty good. So what we can maybe do with this is we can import our files we made in the other, or the files we downloaded, the ZBrush textures. So I might just go to, if I remember correctly, 25 was pretty good. Let's just try this out, see how this goes. Okay, doesn't seem too great. So maybe we just go to alpha, modify, turn the mid value to 50, RF value to 40, turn it on max. Let's see how this does. Okay, that's kind of given us a kind of skin result. Let's try turning up the brush a little bit. How's that doing? It's giving us a very spotty feel. Obviously, the higher resolution you have, the more resolution you're going to get out of your alpha. So I'm just going to subdivide and just see the difference. See if it's worth the difference. Not too much. So I'm just going to go back down. So what I may do is I might just pick this color. If that's the case. And I'm just going to start painting with this. You see that it's slowly changing the color. Maybe we can use a bit of spray to kind of spray this round a little bit. There's a bit too much variation there in the color that I don't really want. Let's turn that to 0. Just want to choose a bright color so I can see exactly what I'm doing. So that's got no color variation. Maybe we can put a tiny bit in. Let's say, not letting me choose, so let's just put it 0.2. Let's try that out. So that's not too much. I'm just going to choose this color here. I'm just going to go ahead and start painting it on. Maybe I can choose a bit bigger. Going in circles is usually a good idea. And we can just start kind of blending. Maybe choose a color from here. Maybe choose this color, a bit more of a darker color. Blend it a little bit. You can see that that's kind of starting to blend with the other part. Maybe a bit too much. Maybe we can turn down the intensity a little bit to, let's say, 60. Didn't like how intense that was. Let's choose the color here. Maybe choose this color. This color. Just trying to basically blend our colors together. Choose a bit of this red. Maybe blend that in a little bit. So you can see that that's got a lot more of a blended effect now. Choose some of this color, this whitish color. It is the forehead, so it's going to have this kind of white color. And you can just try blending that in a little bit. It's going in circles and random shapes. Remember to not have symmetry on at this point. That's quite bad to have. Try choosing around this color maybe. So this is most likely going to be like the hair color. I'm just going to skip that for a sec. Just go for a color a bit more deeper down. Trying to blend this in a bit better. Starting to lose where that place was that we had before, as you can see. Let's go to the back of the neck. Let's choose this color. Let's start blending that. And you can see how well this starts to blend with the alpha that we used from 3D.sk, because it's so high detailed and so close to normal skin. It's going to blend pretty well. Choose this color. Let's go in circles and blend. Maybe we can choose this color here. You can't even really tell that there was that before. So I'm just going to go around and kind of put some color in here quite fast. You can see what I'm doing with my brush. I'm just kind of going quite fast now to try and get some color variation on the top of the head. We are going to be replacing this with kind of a more kind of stubble kind of texture, so it doesn't just look like the skin underneath. Maybe we can go a bit further with this color, kind of bring that out a little bit here as well, just make it blend a little bit. Yep, that looks a lot better. I'm going to do this a little bit more. Just make it blend nicely. Go back to the front of the head. Let's maybe get a bit more of this pinkish kind of texture. Then get a bit more of that on. Maybe a bit more of the white here. Okay, so this looks like it's blending quite nicely. As you can see. You can still kind of see a line here though. Do you want to do some moving adjustments here? So BMV, turn off RBG. Just want to kind of get rid of these little areas I see that are kind of convex. So you can see the difference. It just kind of looks like it's more in line with the rest. Then here as well. We go the opposite way with this. Kind of move around the head pieces a little bit. If you look at it from this angle, you can see it a lot better. It's going to kind of move out some of these areas. And make it match up a little bit better. Now, is this texture difference? I think it might be. So let's just go back to our texture. Let's pick, let's say, this color. Let's just kind of blend that in nicely. This side as well. I don't like this bit that I moved out here so much. This bit is a bit... Hey! Just moving out these areas. So now that I'm fairly happy with that, maybe there's just a bit too many blobs going on here, so I can kind of move that in. I think overall that looks a lot better now. Smooth out this bit a little bit. Not with RBG, obviously, so let's turn RBG off. Didn't help too much. We'll just leave that as it is. So what I'm going to do here now is we're going to start creating the hair follicles, or the underneath of the hair a little bit. So let's just change the color a little bit to a more kind of dark color, unless you wanted to have more kind of white hairs. But I'm going to choose like a kind of dark brownish color. Probably about here, and just see how this looks. Let's go to BST to see how this looks. So just gonna slightly go around with this. So we can get that kind of hair feel to it. Just put a rough layer on for now. Let's go to here. Just going over quickly, creating a bit of variation for now. Just trying to see where that hairline is. Obviously going to be here a little bit too. It's gone a bit too much onto the ear there, which I don't really like. I'm just going to turn down the size of it a little bit, maybe mask this area off. And we'll just see how this looks after a while of doing this. So you can see that we've got some sort of like hairline happening. What we can do is we can go in and we can make a smaller brush, and we can kind of define it a bit better. Obviously down here. Making it to about this area. Fix the ear up in a second. So you can see that now he's got a rough hairline. He's quite receded. quite a high forehead line. I just put it a little bit, kind of put some little bits here now, kind of make it a little bit less harsh. Kind of move this down a little bit. And if you wanted to, we could give him a little bit of more stubble that he's got here. If you wanted to. Just very subtly kind of put that on. Just gives it that kind of stubble kind of feel. You could even do it a little bit more down here. Let's change the color to make it a little bit lighter. Go very kind of softly. Kind of add some stubble in here. Kind of changing him into a different kind of person. Our own character more. Making him a bit younger than he is by just giving him some bit more stubble. Kind of adding that texture on a little bit ourselves. Underneath the neck. Can add some there. Maybe a bit more towards the cheek. Just to kind of give it that kind of stubble effect. Make the brush a little bit bigger, and you know that usually people have little kind of bits around here. Now we can get our skin tone back a little bit, and we can kind of make the intensity a little bit lower and just kind of even this out a little bit better by going over. Maybe you want it a little bit more sparse. See how this looks? We can always Control Z after. Let's see, Control Z. I prefer it a bit more dense like it is now. So if we look at this as a whole in Skin Shade 4, see we've got some kind of under hair and a little bit of stubble. Then go back in a little bit and just kind of make this a little bit more obvious. Or like clean up these patches a little bit. Patches are looking a little bit weird. Especially at the back. Turn up the Z intensity a little bit. Just get rid of some of these kind of patches. Maybe make it a bit lighter. Give it some brown color every so often. Looking a little bit messy with that brown actually. Looks more like mud. This is mostly going to be covered by hair, but it gives us a nice base for it to go under. Let's just have a look at the stubble. Maybe we can refine this a bit better. Let's go to dots. Maybe make these a bit bigger. It's looking a little bit too... I don't really know the word. Try drag rectangle. Yeah, I want it more kind of using the drag rectangle to kind of make the stubble. It'll turn out a lot better. A lot more kind of stubbly. As you can see, if I just kind of do this, you can tell that it's a lot more sparse. Put some on the chin. Just taking that little bit and kind of making it a bit more kind of beard-like. See how that looks? So that's looking a bit more like stubble now. Maybe we can give him that kind of big cheek bit that some people have. Kind of goes out here a little bit. Put it underneath a little bit. So he had a shave, but it wasn't a very clean shave. You can also do that here a little bit. Just leave it like that for now. Kind of see that we've changed this character now. From a quite old man with not much hair, most of his hair follicles have died, into a little bit younger but balding man. Just with a few changes with texture. So let's just have a look and try and refine some areas, such as here. Kind of make that join up a bit better. So we've given this kind of bearded look now. Try a different material. Let's try matte cat white. Looks a bit more like a kind of old police officer now, which is what character creation is all about. So let's just go back to skin shade 4. And let's fix these eyes up a little bit, because we don't want to see this eye anymore. Let's just pick a color that's quite darkish, such as this color. Let's turn this off, and let's just fill this in. I'm using drag rectangle. Use dots. Kind of fill this area in a little bit. And make it match with that. Okay, that's a lot better. Now let's do the same with the inside of the nose. This can be quite a lot darker. Dark but bright, if you know what I mean. Fill that in there. Maybe the inside of the ear needs some work. Okay, so we're just going to leave the stubble as texture most likely, which is fine. See, there's just like loads of little dots for beards. And he's got a lot of stubble. And I quite like the look of it, so I'm going to keep it. So let's just go over and see if there's anything else that needs to be done. Mostly everything's looking good and in order. Maybe we can fix up the ear a little bit in places, such as here. We can just choose this color here and just kind of make sure that the ear is separate from that. do that a little bit, fix up the texture. Maybe we can go here with a very low intensity and kind of do this. And if you wanted to, you could even give this person a balding. But I think it's safer to pick a hairstyle out first, which we'll be doing in some upcoming episodes. But the next episode will be doing the eyes. The eyes will be done in an external program in 3ds Max and Photoshop. Photoshop to create the texture from a texture we'll get off 3d.sk. And the eyes will be made using 3ds Max. So see you in the next tutorial. Bye. Welcome to the end of this tutorial. Feel free to comment with feedback and suggestions below, and also comment on what you would like to see in future videos. Thanks and goodbye.